And so you're saying,
I'm not trying to place the blame on
No.
nobody
I
at all.
understand. So you're saying you just grabbed the backpack and put it in the vehicle?
No, once I found it, I just took it.
All right, court is calling 2024 CR 3597, State of Texas versus Nick Gomez. Could I have parties announced for the record for the state?
Andrew Harris Edelman.
Defense?
Monica Carl.
Are you Mr. Gomez?
Yes, ma'am, I am.
Right. Counsel, have you received all the discovery? Did you review it with your client?
I have, Judge, and we did.
All right, court will find that the state is in compliance with discovery. Mr. Gomez, did you review the document entitled True Bill of Indictment with your attorney? Did you understand it?
Yes, Your Honor, I did.
Counsel, do you waive the reading of the indictment?
We do.
State, are you proceeding on the indictment as presented?
No, Your Honor, waiving the habitual offender enhancement allegation and the count one proceeding on the count two.
Objection.
All right. Did you review the document entitled Court Admonishments and Defendants Waivers and Affidavit of Admonitions with your attorney? Did you understand it? Did you sign it in all the appropriate places?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you understand in count two, you're charged with felon in possession of a firearm? That's a third-degree felony. Range of punishment is anywhere from 2 to 10 years in prison and up to $10,000 fine. Did you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
If you have a plea bargain agreement with the state, the court does not have to follow your plea. If for any reason the court does not follow your plea and gives you more than you bargained for, the fact that you entered a plea will not be used against you, and you will be allowed to withdraw your plea. Did you understand?
Yes, ma'am, I did.
Did you understand you have a right to jury trial, a right for you or your attorney to cross-examine and confront any witnesses the state would call, and the right to remain silent?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you understand by entering this plea, you were giving up those rights?
Yes, ma'am.
And did you intend to give up those rights and enter into a plea in this case?
Yes, ma'am.
Counsel, has your client been able to provide you with any defenses?
He has, Judge.
Do you believe he has a rational as well as a factual understanding of the charges against him?
I believe so.
Do you believe he's currently competent and was legally sane at the time of the offense?
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Gomez, has anyone threatened you, coerced you, or placed you in fear to get you to enter the plea?
No, ma'am.
Anyone promised you anything other than the plea?
No, ma'am.
Are you satisfied with the way you've been represented?
Yes, ma'am.
Are you a U.S. citizen?
Yes, ma'am.
Court will find that defendant has knowingly and voluntarily waived his right to jury trial. Did you review the plea bargain page with your attorney? Did you understand it?
Yes.
According to the plea, state is proceeding on count two. Punishment is to be assessed at a cap of 10 years in the prison, and there are no applications. Did you understand that to be the plea?
Yes, ma'am.
Defense is at the plea.
Yes, Judge.
State is at the plea.
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, did you review the waiver of appeal paragraph with your attorney? Did you understand it? Did you sign it in both places?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you understand by signing that you're waiving your right to appeal? The only items that can be appealed are written pretrial motions that have been filed, heard, and ruled upon by the court. Did you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Counsel, have there been any such motions?
No, Your Honor.
Then to count two, how do you plead? Guilty, not guilty, or no contest?
No contest.
State any evidence.
Contained in Exhibit 1 and attachments, Your Honor.
No objection.
All right. State, you may be excused.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Did you review the waiver and consent to stipulation of testimony and stipulations with your attorney? Did you understand it? Did you sign it in all the appropriate places?
Yes, ma'am.
Again, did you understand you have a right to jury trial, a right for you or your attorney to cross-examine and confront any witnesses the state will call, and the right to remain silent?
Yes.
Did you you need to speak up? Did you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you understand that today the state would be presenting evidence in the form of witnesses' statements and police reports? But most importantly, there'll be no live testimony. Did you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Court will find that defendant has knowingly and voluntarily waived and consented to stipulation of testimony and stipulations. Court will accept into evidence states exhibits 1 and attachments, and the court will review the same. All right, we're back on the record in 2024 CR 3597. The court has reviewed state's evidence. The court will find there's sufficient evidence to find you guilty, and the court will find you guilty. Are you proceeding with sentencing?
We are, Judge. Prior to that, I do have a letter that's been penned by my client's mother, Miss Dora Jimenez. She's joining us on Zoom, I believe, or not on Zoom, but she's watching on YouTube. She was not able to testify this morning as she had some childcare issues with her nieces that she was responsible for caring to today. I also have 14 attendance meetings for Narcotics Anonymous. As the court's aware, part of the allegations in the indictment do allege use of narcotics.
State, any objections? I'm sorry, any objections to the court reviewing the letters and the NA meeting submitted by defense?
No objection, Your Honor.
Okay.
And for the record, that letter was provided to the state earlier this week.
Okay. Court has reviewed the documents that you've submitted to court. Is there anything you wish to say on behalf of your client?
Your Honor, just he is accepting responsibility. He is remorseful. He's made attempts to show he's part of the solution and not the problem here. By acknowledging responsibility in this matter, we're asking the court to consider the facts of this case, the circumstances, his entire cooperation with law enforcement throughout that investigation, and to show some leniency considering those facts and circumstances.
All right, State, is there anything you wish to say with regards to sentencing?
The only thing that I wish to say is that while I do not doubt the sincerity of the author of the letter in support of Mr. Gomez, I am somewhat skeptical of its accuracy in terms of its judgment of his character. That's all, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. State, you may be excused. All right, is there anything you wish to say, sir?
Yes, ma'am, there is.
All right, you want to raise your right hand? Do you solemnly swear affirm the testimony you give will be the truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, you can lower your hand, state your name for the record.
Nick Gomez Jr.
All right, what do you wish to say?
Well, I just really wanted to say, this is the first time I had came home and started just doing what I had to do. I got me a job. It was my first time getting an actual real job. I'm an excavator operator. I would work underground utilities. It was the first time I ever did a income tax check. It was my first time not going back into the crime of what I used to do or things that I used to do. It was the first time I was trying to be a father, a good, productive citizen. They led up to this point. I've made a lot of wrong choices in my life, but these two choices I made, I felt they were good. It's just I feel like my past has caught up to me, and just how they said in my character, I get judged on my character a lot. You know?
All right, so I'm reading, I read the steps. I always read everything. And even though I know the count was waived, it's a part of your stipulations and there's meth involved.
Yes, ma'am.
So how are you getting your life back on track and doing the right thing when you have family to take care of and you have meth in your vehicle?
Yes, well, the gun and the meth, well, to that day, I had just got promoted at work. And in that promotion, while I was getting dressed, I moved my son's backpack. With those are two
Wait, I'm
items.
sorry, you moved what?
My son's backpack.
All right,
Those
so
are
you're
two
saying,
items I find inside. So as I take it, I'm thinking, all right, well, being a dad, I got to tend to this. I need to get to this, but I also have a job promotion with all my foremans. So as I go, I pulled over to get sick. I had been working all that whole week. We're working that whole week, long hours. I pulled over, I went to sleep for a little bit, and that's when the call came in. I mean, I couldn't just stop what I was doing right then and then to tend to that right then and then. I had to do the job promotion.
all right. And so you're saying,
I'm not trying to place the blame on
No.
anybody
I
at all.
understand. So you're saying you just grabbed the backpack and put it in the vehicle?
No, once I found it, I just took it.
So did you take the backpack or no?
No.
Okay. All right, is there anything else?
Nothing further, Judge.
All right, the court is going to find you guilty. The court is going to sentence you to 10 years in the prison, give you credit for any time served. Did you review the document entitled Trial Court Certification of Defendant's Rights to Appeal with your attorney? Did you understand it? Did you sign it?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, because this is a plea bargain agreement, because I followed your plea bargain agreement, and because you waived your right to appeal, you do not have the court's permission to appeal. Because this is a felony conviction, you're not allowed to own or possess any weapons or ammunition. If you have a question over what a weapon or ammunition is, you'll need to speak to an attorney. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, we can go off the record. I want you to know that I strongly considered your mother's letter, but when you look at your criminal history, it's not good at all. You've been to prison 2 times before. So in actuality, your minimum really is 25. So for you to have received 10 years, You'll still have time to get your life together and get it back on track. But you're not allowed to have any weapons. You're a convicted felon. You understand?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, good luck to you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Court is calling 2023 CR 4176, State of Texas versus Carlos Terrazas. Could I have parties announced for the record for the state? Defense,
Rochelle Acevedo for Mr. Terrazas.
and are you Mr. Terrazas?
Yes, ma'am.
Counsel, have you received all the discovery? Did you review it with your client?
Have none.
Court will find that the state is in compliance with discovery. Mr. Terrazas, did you review what's entitled Application for Community Supervision with your attorney? Did you understand it? And did you sign it?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you review the true bill of indictment with your attorney? Did you understand it?
Yes, ma'am.
Counsel, do you waive the reading of the indictment?
Yes, Your Honor.
State, are you proceeding on the indictment as presented?
No objection to that. I'm sorry, I couldn't hear.
They're waiving the enhancement paragraph allegation and proceeding on the indictment. Thank you. All right, did you review the document entitled Court's Admonishments and Defendants Waivers and Affidavit of Admonitions with your attorney? Did you understand it? Did you sign it in all the appropriate places?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you understand you're charged with assault of a peace officer or judge bodily injury? That's a second-degree felony. Range of punishment is anywhere from 2 to 20 years in prison and up to $10,000 fine.
Sir.
If you have a plea with the state, the court does not have to follow your plea. If for any reason the court does not follow your plea and gives you more than you bargained for, the fact that you entered a plea will not be used against you and you will be allowed to withdraw your plea. Did you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you understand you have a right to jury trial? A right for you or your attorney to cross-examine and confront any witnesses the state will call and the right to remain silent.
Yes, ma'am.
You need to keep your voice up so the court will.
Yes, ma'am. I understand.
Okay. All right, and did you understand by entering this plea, you were giving up those rights?
Yes, ma'am.
And did you intend to give up those rights and enter into a plea in this case?
Yes, ma'am.
Counsel, has your client been able to provide you with any defenses?
Yeah, Your Honor.
Do you believe he has a rational as well as a factual understanding of the charges against him?
I believe he does, Your Honor.
Do you believe he's currently competent and was legally sane at the time of the offense?
I believe he was, Your Honor.
Mr. Terrazas, has anyone threatened you, coerced you, or placed you in fear to get you to enter the plea?
No, ma'am.
Anyone promised you anything other than the plea?
No, ma'am.
Are you satisfied with the way you've been represented?
Yes, ma'am.
Are you a U.S. citizen?
Yes, ma'am.
Court will find that defendant has knowingly and voluntarily waived his right to jury trial. Did you review the plea bargain page with your attorney? Did you understand it?
Yes, ma'am.
According to the plea, punishment is to be assessed at 10 years in the prison. There's a $2,000 fine. There's no application for deferred adjudication, and the state recommends community supervision. Did you understand that to be the plea?
Yes, ma'am.
Defense, is that the plea?
It is, Your Honor.
State, is that the plea?
It is, Your Honor.
Did you review the paragraph entitled Waiver of Appeal paragraph with your attorney? Did you understand it and sign it in both places?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you understand by signing that you're waiving your right to appeal? The only items that can be appealed are written pretrial motions that have been filed, heard, and ruled upon by the court. Did you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Counsel, are there any such motions? Outside the agreement, the state is recommending that your community supervision be for a term of 10 years. There be a TAP evaluation and 200 hours of community service restitution. Did you understand those were recommendations from the state and the court does not have to follow those recommendations?
Yes, ma'am.
Then to the office as charged, how do you plead? Guilty, not guilty, or no contest?
No contact.
State, any evidence?
Yes, Your Honor. State exhibit number 1 with all this attached.
Any
No
objections?
No.
And state, have you had contact with the complainant?
We have not in this particular case. It is an officer, so we do have contact, but not direct contact.
All right, thank you. You may be excused. Did you review the document entitled Waiver and Consent to Stipulation of Testimony and Stipulations with your attorney? Did you understand it? Did you sign it in all the appropriate places?
Yes, ma'am.
Again, did you understand you have a right to jury trial, a right for you or your attorney to cross-examine and confront any witnesses the state will call and the right to remain silent?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you understand that today the state will be presenting evidence in the form of witnesses' statements and police reports? But most importantly, there'll be no live testimony. Did you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Court will find that defendant has knowingly and voluntarily waived and consented to stipulation of testimony and stipulations. Court will accept into evidence states exhibits 1 and attachments, and the court will review the same. All right, after reviewing state's exhibits one and attachments, the court will find there's sufficient evidence to find you guilty, and the court will find you guilty. Are you proceeding with sentencing?
Yes, Your Honor.
Anything you wish to say on behalf of your client?
Judge, we would ask that you follow the plea bargain. He has been in custody for almost 17 months, Judge, so he has been in custody since the inception of this case. Throughout that time, I've had an opportunity to not only counsel with him, but we've gone through the competency and the mental health evaluation. Through that, because I didn't have a lot of contact with his family prior to that, but I think through that process, I did reach out to a lot of family members, and through that process, I think they have become a lot more supportive of Mr. Terrazas. I have pretty good communication with his mom and his sister. He was found competent and sane at the time, but through that process, it was found that there is some mental health history. You know, we've talked a lot about it. There is one request at the end of this, Judge, but I think it highlights Mr. Terrazas' request for probation and his hope that he gets the help that he needs. I think he recognizes that there are some issues that he hopes to address, and this is not the easy route, Judge. He chose the much harder route against advice.
Mhm.
He had 17 months in, he had a 4-year, he could have been out, but he really made that turn where he's saying, I think this is best for me. I think getting the help, I think addressing these issues. Finally, I don't want to go any more further along in my life without, you know, if I need to be on medications, if this is something that I'm diagnosed with. I really think that he turned a corner and really hoping to address those issues. So we would ask the court to take all of that into consideration in following the plea bargain. And just, Judge, in the short time from the time you released us to now, prior to this, he had applied for the mental health court. Again, this is coming from his desires to really address this. In that short time, I've been able to talk to mental health court, well, at least corresponding through email, and it sounds like they only accept pretrial diversions.
Yes.
So they will not accept him. So prior to that, you know, he was saying, I really want to try, I want to get back in there, because the other alternative was a request to transfer this to Tarrant County. That is where his mother and his sister live. And speaking with both of them, they have open doors for him. That is a place that he can go to. Additionally, Judge, I'd let my client know, and he's aware, I don't have a lot of information on it. Ms. Ferguson was kind enough to print it up. He does have 2 holds out of Tarrant County. So with that request, we know that he's going to be held and transferred to Tarrant County. So I'd ask the court to consider transferring this, since he probably will be out there. I know that the family is eager to bond him out. It's my understanding that these are tickets, but I don't have any way of showing that, Judge.
Right. So are those traffic tickets?
One of those were not having permission driving the vehicle.
Okay.
The other one was for my stepson. I spanked my stepson in a
I'm sorry, can you step up to the microphone?
they said I spanked my stepson, and they charged me with I think it's endangerment to a child, but it's a misdemeanor.
I didn't have that, Judge.
Okay, I don't think that doesn't sound like it's a misdemeanor to me. All right. So when's the last time you had employment,
Before I got locked up.
and what were you doing?
A diesel mechanic.
All right. You know, none of this would have happened if, one, there was a juvenile in here that you decide to leave the family barbecue or whatever the family was having to go on the side of a building and smoke a cigarette with her, which is bad choice number 1, because that's a juvenile. You shouldn't be smoking with her. Number 2, she says you were trying to flirt with her and wanted a kiss, and she said no, and that was the end of it. And you already had a girlfriend waiting for you. All of this could have been avoided. But then you continue. Then the next thing that ends up happening, the police are called. They knock on your door. They're trying to identify you. And according to them, you give them the wrong name. And then they want to detain you to try to get your information. Then what do? You take off running. And then I can tell you this, I'd say 99.99% of the time, when you go up against a taser, you're not going to win. So then you get hit with a taser, you fall on the concrete, end up with a busted lip, and still you won't stop struggling. The officer says you headbutt him. That's why we're here. And so this entire offense is you making horrendous choices. So you're going to have to start making better choices. Otherwise, you're going to end up potentially on this case in the prison for 10 years. Do you understand?
Yes.
So how many children do you have?
5.
All right, what are their ages?
My oldest is 19.
Mhm.
My second oldest is 18. My third oldest is 16. And I have a junior, which he's 13. And then I have my youngest one, where I just found out he wasn't mine, but I still consider him as my child. He's 2.
All right. If you're with people, sometimes maybe it's best to have DNA testing done. I'm sure your counsel will tell you that when we practice in CPS courts, it was always have your DNA testing done. All right, so Tarrant County, who all lives there? Your relatives?
My brother, my sisters, and my mom.
Okay,
My mom currently moved over there.
all right, and what is the tattoo on your neck for?
Oh, it's my sister's initials.
All right, why do you have your sister's initials?
She's my favorite sister.
How many sisters do you have?
I have 7.
Oh, well, what do they say about that?
Oh, I got their names on me too. She's the coolest one.
And what does your mom say about that?
She hates them. She doesn't like tattoos at all.
Yeah, the safest thing to do, moms never like tattoos usually. So if you want to get one, say, have your mom's name, because she'll be upset about it, but what can she really say? It says, love mom.
Yeah, I was gonna get that too, but she told me not to. She
Okay,
begged me.
so you have 7 sisters' names on you?
Yeah,
Oh my
I
gosh.
have my one of my daughter's names on my chest too.
Okay.
Keandra.
All right, and what about your other children? Do you have their names?
I have CJ, which is my name. It's just Junior.
Mhm.
And then I have Rebello, which is the oldest one.
Mhm.
And then I have the other one on my back. My daughter's name is
Okay. All right. I'm always interested in people's tattoos because when people come before me, the only thing I know about them is that you just play it to an offense. So the only thing I know about you is that you play it to this offense and you're guilty of this offense. So tattoos sometimes will tell me a life story. Sometimes it'll tell me that you're gang affiliated. It tells me different things about you. So I'm always curious about tattoos. And I understand the neck tattoo, that's very painful.
Yes, it was.
All right, well, I mean, you really love her.
Yeah, she's my favorite sister.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so the court is going to sentence you to 10 years in the prison, suspended and probated for 10 years, $2,000 fine probated. We'll do a transfer to Tarrant County. There's to be 200 hours of community service restitution. How far did you go in school?
11th grade,
All right, is there a reason you didn't graduate?
my kids.
All
I
right,
had to work.
do you have your GED?
Uh,
So what are you planning on doing with the rest of your life?
Actually, the job that I'm going to go back to is Ready Cable. He said he's gonna send me to Houston to do all that stuff to get certifications. He said I had to get a high school diploma or a GED. So he said he's gonna pay for it.
All right, if he obtains his GED, then 100 hours of the community service restitution will be deemed satisfied. And then if he obtains his certification from some sort of trade school, plumbing, welding, along those lines, then the remaining community service hours will be deemed satisfied. There's to be regular reporting by Zoom or in person. There's to be regular random UAs, anger management, proof of employment within 30 days. There's to be no employment as a home health care provider or with minors. Probation, he is allowed to travel for work. However, you'll need to get that information to probation before you travel. So you don't have to come back to the court for permission to travel, but you'll still need to provide proof to probation, all right?
Okay.
Counsel, are there any drug issues with your client? All right, and we'll do a referral to Mick, and we can do that evaluation out of custody because I know he needs to go to Tarrant County for whatever charges he has there. And we can do a TAP evaluation out of custody as well. And if the transfer is not accepted, then there's to be field visits one time per month for 3 months. And if there is a transfer, then it'll be one time per month for 4 months. Probation, is there anything else he needs?
No, Your Honor.
All right, is there anything else you need from the court to be successful?
Yes, is there a way that I can get like my social security number and birth certificate?
All right, with regards to your social security or birth certificate. Oh, just 1 second, I'll address that in just a moment. Did you review the document entitled Trial Court Certification of Defendant's Rights to Appeal with your attorney? Did you understand it and sign it?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, because this is a plea bargain agreement, because I followed your plea bargain agreement, because you waive your right to appeal, you do not have the court's permission to appeal. Do you understand?
Yes.
Because this is a felony conviction, you're not allowed to own or possess any weapons or ammunition. If you have a question over what a weapon or ammunition is, you'll need to speak to an attorney. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, so with regards to your birth certificate and social security, if you let probation know, they'll be able to tell you where you can go to hopefully get that information and get those documents. Usually they say, go to the Social Security office, but I will tell you now with Social Security and any type of government office, you'll have to stand in line on the long phone call. And then you will have to get an appointment. So a lot of them are requiring appointments now, even the to obtain your driver's license, you have to set up an appointment. Sometimes you can set up those appointments online, but if you talk to probation, they'll work with you. All right, good luck to you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Have a blessed day.
Oh, thank you. You too. Court is calling 2024 CR 4842, State of Texas versus Clarence McDaniel. Can our parties announce for the record for the state?
Andrew Harris Edelman.
Defense?
Marissa Giovenco, it's Giovenco for Mr. McDaniel.
All right, and are you Clarence McDaniel?
Yes, ma'am.
Counsel, have you received all the discovery? Did you review it with your client?
Yes, Judge.
Court will find that the state is in compliance with discovery. Mr. McDaniel, did you review the application for deferred adjudication or community supervision with your attorney? Did you understand it?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you review the true bill of indictment with your attorney? Did you understand it?
Yes, ma'am.
Counsel, do you waive the reading of the indictment?
I do, Judge.
State, are you proceeding on the indictment as presented?
Proceeding on count 1, waiving count 2, Your Honor.
Any objection?
No, Judge.
Did you review the document entitled Court Admonishments and Defendants Waivers and Affidavit of Admonitions with your attorney? Did you understand it? Did you sign it in all the appropriate places?
Yes, ma'am.
You're gonna need to keep your voice up.
Yes, ma'am.
Did you understand that the state is proceeding on count 1, that's possession with intent to deliver a controlled substance, penalty group 1, 4 grams to 200 grams? That's a first-degree felony. Range of punishment is anywhere from 5 to 99 years or life in prison and up to a $10,000 fine. Did you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
If you have a plea bargain agreement with the state, the court does not have to follow your plea. If for any reason the court does not follow your plea and gives you more than you bargained for, the fact that you entered a plea will not be used against you and you will be allowed to withdraw your plea. Did you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you understand you have a right to jury trial, a right for you or your attorney to cross-examine and confront any witnesses the state would call in the right to remain silent?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you understand by entering this plea, you were giving up those rights?
Yes, ma'am.
And did you intend to give up those rights and enter into a plea in this case?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you understand if the court were to grant your application for deferred adjudication, if for any reason your deferred adjudication were revoked, the court could find you guilty and sentence you up to life in prison?
Yes, ma'am.
Counsel, has your client been able to provide you with any defenses?
Yes, Judge.
Do you believe he has a rational as well as a factual understanding of the charges against him?
I do.
Do you believe he's currently competent and was legally sane at the time of the offense?
Yes, Judge, I do.
Mr. McDaniel, has anyone threatened you, coerced you, or placed you in fear to get you to enter the plea?
No, ma'am.
Anyone promise you anything other than the plea?
No, ma'am.
Are you satisfied with the way you've been represented?
Yes, ma'am.
Are you a U.S. citizen?
Yes, ma'am.
Court will find that defendant has knowingly and voluntarily waived his right to jury trial. Did you review the plea bargain page with your attorney? Did you understand it?
Yes, ma'am.
According to the plea, state is proceeding on count one. Punishment is to be assessed at a cap of 6 years in the prison. There's a $2,000 fine. This will run concurrent with County Court 14 number 726688. State is taking in consideration 726689, 726690, 2024 CR 4841. There's to be restitution in cause numbers 726689, 726690, and the state is silent on your applications. Did you understand that to be the plea?
Yes, ma'am.
Defense is at the plea.
Judge, just to be clear, my understanding was it was going to be a cap of 7. We are happily going to accept a cap of 6 if the paperwork says otherwise.
Now, the paperwork says a cap of 7.
Okay, you said 6 on the record, so
Oh,
I
I'm
wanted
so
to be
sorry. I thought I
clear.
said 7.
Okay,
All right, so is that the plea?
yes, Judge.
State, is that the plea?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, did you review the waiver of appeal paragraph with your attorney? Did you understand it? Did you sign it in both places?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you understand by signing that you're waiving your right to appeal? The only items that can be appealed are written pretrial motions that have been filed, heard, and ruled upon by the state. By the court. Did you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Counsel, have there been any such motions?
No, Judge.
Then to the offense as charged in count one, how do you plead? Guilty, not guilty, or no contest?
Guilty, Your Honor.
State, any evidence?
Contained in Exhibit 1 and attachments, Your Honor.
All right, state, you may be excused.
Obliged, Your Honor.
I have reviewed that with my client. We have no objections.
All right, Mr. McDaniel, did you understand again, you have a right to jury trial, a right for you or your attorney to cross-examine and confront any witnesses the state would call and the right to remain silent?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you understand that today the state will be presenting evidence in the form of witnesses' statements and police reports? But most importantly, there will be no live testimony. Did you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Court will find that defendant has knowingly and voluntarily waived and consented to stipulation of testimony and stipulations. Court will accept into evidence states exhibits 1 and attachments, and the court will review the same. All right, after reviewing states exhibits 1 and attachments, the court will find there's sufficient evidence to find you guilty. Court will defer finding of guilt as you've applied for deferred adjudication. Probation, is there any way to expedite this, or is that too much expediting in the court?
It's early try for you, Judge.
All right, Norma, could you put this, if we were to put this at the end of July, you think, just to see if we were able to do it?
Yes, sir.
All right, Norma, could you put this as for sentencing the last week of July? All right, we'll bring you back on July 29th, counsel. Of course, if it's not prepared, then we won't proceed. We'll get a new date.
Okay, thank you, Judge.
All right, thank you. Hello, where's Nick?
He's coming, Judge,
All right.
and he apologizes for his mother.
Oh, don't we're
Good
all
evening.
adults. I appreciate you apologizing for
Sorry,
your
I
mother.
really do.
Yeah.
She-
But, if she calls you or visits you at the jail, remember to tell her, she can't do that in court. And let me explain to you why. Because we try to run things smoothly. And when people start doing extra in the audience, the deputies are on high alert. They're already on high alert. Then people end up not being able to come back to court. And I know you would like her to be here.
Yes, ma'am.
All right.
I'm sorry. We just buried my brother, so she's kind of,
Oh, your defense attorney explained it to me. So I talked to the defense attorney and the deputy. She's gonna be released, but sometimes people
Thank you.
need to see how it looks in the back.
yes.
And
ma'am.
then they'll say, okay, I'm gonna follow the rules.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, so where are we on this case?
Okay, Judge, I'm recently new to Mr. Contreras' case. He has on his MTR an allegation of a new number 1. And for reasons that I can't explain, his new number 1s have been pending in another court for a long
Oh, I
time.
can't explain either.
However, I've remedied that. They're going to be transferred to this court. Mr. Garahan, for that reason, has never even seen the new number 1s.
Okay.
So so we're gonna ask for some time
Okay,
for that to happen. In addition, no one's ever asked for a bond to be set on Mr. Contreras' MTR. He's on deferred adjudication for this offense. I'm asking the court if we would consider setting him a bond.
all right, let's do first things first.
So I'd like to reset his case first.
Yes, all right, so, yes, I don't know why those cases
I
are,
don't either, but
in the
that has
175.
been fixed. I've spoken to your court staff and they've remedied that as well. So.
all right, so, Ms. Ferguson, let's recall this in 30 days. We'll call it in 30 days as far as the discovery. It won't be set for hearing yet. So, all right, so it's gonna be July 25th.
I'm out of town. Can we do the following week? Yes.
Sure.
Please. Yes, that's perfect.
All right, so August 1st for discovery on new cases.
I am Charles Bunk. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
All right, and state, are you prepared to proceed on an oral motion?
Yes, sir.
All right. Court is calling 2021 CR 2910W State of Texas versus Rick Anthony Contreras. Rob parties announced for the record for the state. Defense,
Charles Bunk for Mr. Contreras.
and are you Mr. Contreras?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, defense is asking for bond and by way of oral motion. Any objection to the motion being oral?
Not from the state, no, Your Honor.
All right, the defendant is on deferred adjudication. Legally, he's entitled to a bond. Have you all had a chance to discuss a bond amount?
No, Your Honor.
Do y'all want to discuss a bond amount?
We will agree that we've agreed, if it satisfies the court, we're in agreement at the bond being set at $10,000.
All right.
That is correct.
All right, the court, the defendant is on bond out of this court, so the court is aware of the defendant's criminal history. The court is aware of the defendant's mental history, which does not exist. And so I'm just putting on the record that the court is aware of his background. So since you've been at the Bexar County Jail, have there been any mental health issues that have arisen?
No, ma'am.
All right, are you on any type of medications?
Not ma'am.
All right. And do you have a place to live if you were released?
Yes, ma'am.
And are there only adults in the household?
My son lives there.
All right, how old is your son?
He's 3. He's gonna be 4 in October.
All right, so your son is there and who else is there?
His mother.
Okay. All right, this is what the court is going to do. The court is going to follow your agreement, set your bond at $10,000. There's to be no unsupervised contact with minors, so you can have contact with your son, but there needs to be an adult there.
Yes, ma'am.
And there is going to be, you're going to have to do UAs. Probation will tell you of a location you can go. Since this is still pending
Yes, ma'am.
and open, the motion to revoke, you're not currently supervised by probation because the motion to revoke is pending. So they'll let you know where you can go to do UAs. It just won't be done under them. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
So I'm going to order regular UAs. Is there anything else?
Nothing else, Judge.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
May
You're
we
Have a
excuse?
great day.
Yes,
Thank you.
you're welcome. Darren Johnson. Come forward.
Yeah, she may have been unaware of the court date today, suggesting that you give me some time to get her in here. I don't know that she,
All right.
yes,
All right. Of course, state, you know, there's been some Odyssey issues. He's saying that he doesn't believe his client is aware of this setting. I can issue a warrant for her, or either we can recall it back on July 1st.
that Monday,
Yes.
can we please do that, without a warrant, because I didn't know, I was here for something else, I didn't know she was said either.
And so he's saying he did not know she was set either.
I'm fine with July 1st, Judge.
Thank
All
you.
right, Norma, on Darren Johnson, we're going to recall this for July 1st. If your client doesn't appear, then a warrant may be issued. Do you understand?
Yes, sir.
All right, thank you. All right, if you all approach and just give me a moment.
Your Honor.
After that, let me ask you on something else.
What are you asking?
I just wanted to inform the court that I filed a motion for a new trial on the case as per standard
Sure.
procedure.
Okay, no problem. Thank you, Mr. Davidson.
It's on Rebecca Alvarez. Thank
All
you.
right, thank you. All right, let me find what page this is on. All right, thank you.
That one over there?
What do you want to speak to me about? Yes.
Judge, I have conferred with Mr. Edelman. This is a first setting on an MTR. There is a.
What is this?
I'm sorry, Judge Israel Medellin. I informed the clerk.
All right, where's Mr. Medellin?
Present, Medellin.
All right, what did you all want to discuss with the court?
Judge, I was conferring with Mr. Edelman. This is the first setting on the MTR. He had initial offer. I would like for him to have an affidavit that was signed by a co-defendant. It's part of the basis of the new number ones. And he would said he'd take a look at that, have a different open mind. I'm gonna get him to that before the next setting. So I'm just asking for a setting for him to take a review of that and get some medical documentation that I have for my client as well regarding cannabis use.
All right, Ms. Ferguson. Recall this for the week of July 15th, please.
Thank you very much, Judge.
And he does have an active warrant.
Actually,
Okay.
I looked into that. If we can just hold him here, Judge, he doesn't. It's been resolved. I have an email that
All right,
verifies that.
we'll have him, we'll bring him back.
Okay,
All right, Ms. Ferguson, what date?
bring him back. Can you just take 2 seconds? Please.
Yes, the week of July 15th.
Good. Can we take 2 seconds, please?
Okay, so here's the thing.
I can show
Guys,
you the
No,
dismissal.
no, no. Here's the thing. Everyone, just come down.
No, I'm just.
Guess
saying it's
what?
Kind of tight.
All right, I understand. So she's gonna put you in the box. I'm gonna call these cases and then we'll come back to you. So just give me a second. So what date? All right, no, that's for discovery. So that's July 18th. And then counsel, if you will show that to the clerk in the back and they will be able to pull something.
Thank you.
So